Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Summerscales again with another story for you, and today we've got the smartest giant in town. Now you may notice that I am in a dressing gown. It's not because I'm being lazy today, it's actually because it's part of the story. Okay, I have some other clothes too. The Smartest Giant in Town by Julia Donaldson and Axel Schleifer. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of brown sandals and the same old patchy gown. "I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town," he'd say sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop had opened. It was full of smart clothes. So he bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks, and a pair of smart shoes. "Now I'm the smartest giant in town," he said proudly. I'm going to put down my book and I'm going to show you what I've got on underneath. There we go. So, as you can see, I have a smart tie, a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, and some smart boots. So we'll continue our story. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe, and he was sniffling very sadly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long warm scarf." I wonder what George could give the giraffe. That's right. "Cheer up," he said, and George took off his stripy tie. Now, what colour is mine, everybody? Not a stripy one. It's a plain blue tie, and he wrapped it around the giraffe. "It didn't match my socks anyway," he said, and as he wound it round and round the giraffe's neck, it made a wonderful scarf. "Thank you," said the giraffe, and as George strode away, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." He still looks smart, doesn't he? Then George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. "What on earth is the matter?" asked George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail." Poor goat. I wonder, what could George do next to try and help? "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his nice new shirt. "It kept coming untucked anyway," he said, and then he tied it to the goat's boat. It did make a magnificent sail. So I'm just going to undo my shirt, and going to pretend to give it to a goat. There we go, goat. Still got the belt on and the trousers. Lovely.
And the boots.
The boots. Oh, thank you, said the goat. George strode on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. George came across a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a little white mouse with lots of her babies. They were all squeaking really sadly. What on earth is the matter? George asked. It's our house, squeaked the mother mouse. It burnt down and now we've got nowhere to live. Oh, I wish we had a nice new house. Cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his boots. It was giving me blisters anyway. There it is. Take off one boot. And he said, as the mouse and the babies inside, the shoe made a perfect home for them. Thank you, thank you, they all squeaked. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat for a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. They're covering their ears. They don't look very happy. I'm not sure if they like George's singing. George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox. He was crying. What is the matter? Asked George. It's my sleeping bag, said the fox. I dropped it in a puddle. Oh, and I wish I had a nice, warm, dry sleeping bag. George thought again. Cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his socks. Now this sock has diamonds up the side, but not mine. Mine's a plain one with a little bit of white around the edges. It was tickling my toes anyway, he said, and the fox snuggled into it and said, thank you, it's a fine sleeping bag. George hopped on, singing to himself again. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat or a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. George came to a big, squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. Oh! What's the matter? Asked George. It's this bog, said the dog. I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a safe, dry path to cross. Ah, cheer up, said George, and he took off his smart new belt. It was squashing my tummy anyway, he said, and he lay down on the bog. He put it over. There we go. Then the dog could cross the bog. It made an excellent path. Oh, thank you, said the dog. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on and he was singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. But, and I'm not going to do this bit. My trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town. Oh dear. Poor George. Suddenly, George felt very sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy more new clothes, he decided. He turned round and hopped all the way back to the shop. But when he got there, it was closed. Oh no! He sank down on the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose and felt sad as all the animals that he had met on his way home. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out of it. George took a closer look. My gown! My dear old gown and sandals! George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable and the cosiest. Now I am the cosiest giant in town, he cried, and he danced back home along the road. Outside his front door stood all the animals he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. Come on, George, they said, open it. George untied the ribbon and inside was a beautiful paper crown. Now my crown isn't gold, but it does have something on it. I think you've been seeing a lot of these lately. I wonder if you can tell me what it is. That's right, it's a rainbow. And I'm going to put it on my head. There we go. Are you ready? Look, inside the car, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside it said, your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town. Isn't that lovely? And such a kind thing to do. I hope you liked the story today, everybody. See you again soon. Take care. Bye.